We switch to a scene where a middle school teacher, Anna Taylor, is making love with her boyfriend Paul, but she looks bored and unhappy. Afterwards, in the shower, Paul asks her what's wrong, but she says she's fine, even though her face shows otherwise. When Anna is leaving school, the lights start to flicker in the corridor. She gets scared and runs to the exit, but the door is locked. In this tense moment, Jack shows up and somehow opens the door with ease. In the evening, Anna meets Paul at a fancy restaurant for dinner. There, he tells her that he got a promotion to the head office, so he has to move to Chicago. He takes out a ring from his pocket, planning to propose to her and take her with him. But before he can do that, Anna starts to fight, and she assumes that he's going to dump her. Paul tries to tell her the truth, but she leaves without listening. She drives away in a state of panic, and in the heavy rain, she gets into a car crash. In the next scene, we see Anna on a table in the funeral home with a pale face and a cut on her forehead. Soon after, Elliot comes in and begins to prepare her. As he starts to take off her clothes, Anna opens her eyes and asks where she is. Elliot tells her with a surprising calmness that she's in the funeral home and that she's dead. He also reminds her that she hit a truck full of metal pipes, which killed her 8 hours ago. Anna is confused and scared, and she doesn't accept that she's dead, even though the funeral director assures her that she's just in transition to the afterlife. Meanwhile, Paul wakes up in his house and tries to call his girlfriend many times. So he goes to her mother's house to ask about her. He is shocked when Mom tells him the sad accident that caused her death. She also blames him for letting her drive in such bad weather. In the funeral home, Elliot sews up her wounds and she's puzzled that she doesn't feel any pain. She asks him about this, but he doesn't answer her and gives her a shot of a fake drug called hydronium bromide. Of course it has bro in the name. Later, Anna's mother, who uses a wheelchair, comes to the funeral home to see her in a tearful voice. She talks to Anna's body, asking who will look after her now. After that, Anna wakes up and finds herself alone in the room. She gathers enough strength and sits up. She then walks to the phone, but it doesn't work. At that moment, Paul arrives at the funeral home and asks Elliot to let him see his girlfriend. But the funeral director doesn't let him in because he has no legal relationship with her. Anna hears Paul's voice and screams and bangs on the door, but no one hears her. Paul then goes to the police station to see his friend Tom, hoping that he can help him get into the funeral home. Another cop tells him that Tom is on his patrol duty and will be back soon. Until then, Paul goes to the police impound and gets into Anna's smashed car. There, he has a vision of his girlfriend, which is suddenly cut off by Tom's hand. Paul begs him to do something to let him see Anna, but he can't do anything about it. On the other side, Anna walks around the room and sees another dead body on the table. She doesn't want to end up like that, so she takes a pair of scissors and waits for Elliot. When he comes in, she tries to kill him, but he doesn't seem scared. He says that she can't hurt him because she's already dead. Anna disagrees, asking how she can talk to him if she's dead right now. Elliot tells her that he can talk to her because he has a gift. He also tells her to give up on life because her funeral is in 3 days, and then she'll be put in a coffin and buried for good. The next morning, Paul hears Anna's voice whispering and also sees visions of her in the shower. Now's not the time for that, Paul, he thinks. But he soon wakes up, realizing that it was only a dream. Meanwhile, Elliot comes back to Anna with a dress, which she will wear at her funeral. While he is not looking, she secretly takes a bunch of keys from his pocket. Later, as Elliot goes to get another dead body from the hospital, Anna quickly uses the stolen keys and tries to open the door. Elliot stops at a gas station to fill up his tank, and that's when he notices that he left his keys behind, so he hurries back to the funeral home. Meanwhile, Anna manages to open the door and walks around the house. She soon finds a room with a phone. She quickly calls Paul's number and hopes that he will answer. After a long ring, he does answer the call, but soon hangs up, thinking that it's another illusion. Just then, Elliot catches her and shows her her dead-like self in a mirror. This finally convinces her that she really is dead. At the same time, Jack, who is standing outside the house, sees Anna, and he is shocked. Also, Another strange thing happens as she breathes in front of the mirror, making her breath fog it. But Elliot smartly wipes it off before she sees it. Now that she believes that she is dead, Anna stops fighting Elliot's preparation of her body and doesn't care about what he gives her. Paul goes to Anna's school to get her things. When he is about to go, he meets Jack, who tells him that he saw Anna at the funeral home wearing a red dress yesterday. Paul doesn't trust him and says that she is dead, but when the boy says that he doesn't love her enough, Paul gets so mad that he hits his face. A cop comes to see the dead body of his brother, who is in the same room as Anna. He then asks Elliot to leave him alone with his brother for a few minutes. But just when he's about to touch her, Elliot comes in and tells him to go. Later, he speeds to the funeral home, asking to see her, but Elliot denies. This time, Paul doesn't listen to him and breaks in, shouting for Anna. He keeps looking for her until the funeral director warns him. Paul then goes to the police station and tells Tom that his girlfriend is alive. He also guesses that Anna has been given some high dose of drugs, making her heartbeat very slow. But his friend doesn't trust him as he has no proof to support his claim. Later, Elliot puts Anna in her funeral clothes. While they have some deep talk, she admits that she was never satisfied with her life and didn't love Paul with all her heart. But now, she wishes she could change everything. The scene then switches to the day of the funeral, where Elliot puts Anna in the coffin as he gets ready to inject her with another dose of drugs. She asks to look at herself one last time. He then shows her a small mirror, and while she looks at herself, she sees her breath fogging up the glass. This makes her understand that Elliot has been fooling her all this time and that she is not dead yet. In a state of fear, she tries to resist, but Elliot gives her the drugs, making her pass out. Later, everyone comes to the funeral hall to say their last goodbye to Anna. A little later, Paul also comes and puts the engagement ring on her finger. During this time, her lips and eyelids twitch a little, so Elliot nervously decides to close the coffin. After it is buried in a cemetery, the heartbroken Paul starts drinking a lot. He is then confronted by the funeral director, whom Paul accuses of burying Anna alive. Elliot says that maybe he is right and tells him to go see for himself. Angry, Paul acts violently, but before he can hit him, Elliot tells him that he doesn't have much time left. Feeling the pressure of the situation, Paul drives to the graveyard at full speed. Meanwhile, Anna wakes up in the coffin and desperately cries for help as she slowly loses oxygen. Even though he is drunk, Paul avoids several cars on the road. He then gets to the graveyard and fast digs up her coffin, pulling her out. He somehow brings her back to life, and then she tells him that she loves him. At the same time, Paul hears some weird noises, and Anna tells him that they are the sound of Elliot's scissors cutting his clothes. The next moment, Paul sees himself in the funeral home with Elliot over him, getting his body ready as he did Anna's. Elliot tells him that he never got to the cemetery because of a car crash that took his life. Paul says that he is alive until Elliot pushes an embalming trocar deep into his chest.